Hello students, in last lecture we completed the chapter number 8, that was cell, the unit of life. In this chapter we are moving ahead, in this lecture we are moving ahead and we are going to discuss the new chapter, that is chapter number 9, biomolecules. So from the name we can say that it is biological molecules, that is the molecular compounds that are present or that are found in living organisms. We always wonder that how we are made up of, what is the basic composition of living organisms, be it human beings or any plants or any microbial species, say it like bacteria. So we don't know exactly how we are made up of, what is the chemical compound of that. Okay, for that we have to perform some of the tests and we have to analyze the chemicals that are present in our body, and we can find that we are having carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. These are the elements that can be found upon the chemical analysis of living organisms. So, as there is a very big diversity in living organism, amongst the living organisms, ranging from some insects to bacteria to higher organisms like humans, and also these are all only animals. We can talk about plants also, algae, bryophyta, pteridophyta, and so many different organisms are there, and chemical analysis of them can be done, and we can find some of the elements like carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and many more. If we do the analysis, same chemical analysis of Earth's crust, we can find many of the elements which are exactly same in case of living organisms. So living organisms and Earth's crust doesn't have many different elements in them. But the major thing is that if we compare both the elements or elements that are found in both, that is in Earth crust and living organisms, we will find that in carbon and hydrogen are in very high number compared to in living organism compared to Earth's crust. So living organisms have carbon and hydrogen in much more amount that is present in the Earth's crust. So that is the basic difference between these two. So if we want to exactly analyze that how or what are the chemical compounds that are present inside our body, because we have to understand that all the biochemical activities that are going through in our cell or at the tissue level or at the organ level requires so involvement of so many different biomolecules, and by studying that only we can get exact idea about how the whole system of living organism works. That's why this particular chapter is important for us, that to study what are the types of biomolecules that are present inside our body or in living organisms, and based on that we can analyze other things. So if we want to chemically analyze any tissue or say a part of any living organism, what we can do is we can take any living tissue. For example, if we can take leaves of some vegetables or liver tissue. If you know, लीवर को हिंदी में जिगर बोला जाता है, तो लीवर्स टिश्यू मीन्स जिगर का टुकड़ा, एक जिगर का टुकड़ा लेके हम एनालिसिस कर सकेंगे. सो व्हाट वी हैव टू डू इन दिस पर्टिकुलर एनालिसिस, वी हैव टू टेक लिविंग टिश्यू एंड ग्राइंड इट इन trichloroacetic acid using mortar and pestle. We all know what is mortar and pestle. खल दस्तो जे આપણે કહીએ તે આપણા ઘરે બી રેગ્યુલરલી જે વસ્તુ વાટવા માટે ને એમ તેમ યુઝ કરીએ, that is called as mortar and pestle. So we have to take some living tissue in mortar and pestle, add some trichloroacetic acid in it, and we have to grind it. After grinding for few minutes, we can have thick slurry. This thick slurry must be subjected to cheesecloth, or we can also use muslin cloth. In simple terms, this slurry should be filtered. If we filter it through cheesecloth or muslin cloth, we can get two things, that is filtrate and retentate. In more technical terms, filtrate means the acid soluble part and this is acid insoluble part. So if acid soluble part is chemically analyzed, that what exactly are the compounds or elements that are found in the this particular portion, acid soluble portion. Scientists have already done that, and they have found thousands of organic compounds in them. So it has been, we all know what organic compounds are, the compounds that are having carbon in them. So most of the or majority of the organic compounds that are found in human body can be traced in this particular filtrate, that is acid soluble part of the chemical analysis, and the retentate part also have some of the elements. But we all know that the human body or even the living organisms, for example, if we have took vegetables, so the vegetables, that means plants and animals, are not made up of only organic compound. They are having inorganic elements also. So based on that, we have to find out, or we still want to know, that what are the inorganic compounds or inorganic elements that are present inside the living organisms. So for that, another method is carried out, which is a bit of a destructive method, in which we have to take living tissue again, and this living tissue should be, or we have to allow it to dry itself completely, so that any kind of moisture or the water part becomes almost nil. Now this powdery or this dry tissue is then taken, and we have to burn this tissue. Yes, you heard it right. We have to burn this tissue, so that all the organic compounds that are present inside the tissue will be oxidized and will form CO2, and that will be evaporated. And the remaining portion, which we call as ash, not Aishwarya Rai, the ash, je raakh apne kiye the, so this ash will contain the inorganic compounds. Now after doing some chemical test on ash, we can find that there are so many inorganic compounds: calcium, sulfur, magnesium, and many more. So the inorganic compound is basically found in this ash portion, and we can say that in living organisms there are inorganic compounds, and that too in very high number. So it is not that living organisms or living bodies are made of only organic compounds. Many inorganic elements are also involved in this particular thing. So basically there are so many sophisticated techniques right now to find out whether what exactly the compounds that are present in both by using this filtrate and retentate, or by using the ash, we can find out what exactly are the compounds their possible structure, their molecular formula, and many other things we can find out using. There are so many sophisticated techniques available right now. For example, there are so many chromatography, HPLC, GC, and other chromatography techniques which can be used to further identify and properly diagnose what are the exact chemical compounds that are present inside living tissue, including their possible structure, their molecular formula, and everything about that particular compound. So we can use those techniques, and we can find out exactly what are the compounds that are present inside such living tissues. So if we move ahead and if we analyze those tissues again or very deeply, we can find what are the contents in them. Chemically, if we say, for example, we can find aldehyde compounds, we can find keto compounds or ketone compounds, and many more compounds in living organisms or living tissue. But we are not here to discuss chemistry of the living organism. Yes, we are, but up to some point we need biological point of view. In biological point of view, we can divide these biomolecules in, for example, nucleotide bases, amino acids, lipids, and some carbohydrate in polymeric forms. So these are the compounds that we actually look for in the analysis that we have done, and from these biological molecules we are going to discuss today about amino acids. Okay, so we are talking about amino acids. Amino acids are basically organic compounds. They are organic compounds in which they do possess amino group plus acidic group. It do contains amino group and acidic group, that's why it is called as amino acids. Both the groups are there in the structure of amino acid. If we talk about the basic structure of amino acid, it is like of methane. हमने बधाने याद हशे how the structure of methane is. This is the structure of methane. Now if we remove some of the groups from here, that is some of hydrogen, and we add something, then it can become the structure of amino acid. If you look at here, there is a carbon which is the only carbon in the structure of amino acid, that's why it is called as alpha carbon. The group attached to this alpha carbon are H, that is hydrogen, then COOH. If we remove it here and add COOH, then amino group, and then hydrogen is already there, and then R group. This R group can be any other group, chemical group, and which can be replaced and make many of the proteins, but the amino acids. But the amino acids that is found in living organisms and are used in the production of the protein or synthesis of the protein, those are 20 amino acids mainly. And as the carbon in the amino acid is called as alpha carbon, these amino acids are called as alpha amino acids. Now based on the change in the R group, there are different amino acids that are available. If we talk about if the R is H only, if this R group is hydrogen only, then the amino acid, the example of that amino acid is glycine. If it is methyl group, it is alanine or alanine, and if it is hydroxymethyl group, it is serine or serine, whatever you call it. So these are the few examples of amino acids, and these amino acids, why these amino acids are so important? Because they are the building blocks of protein molecules. How the protein is synthesized from amino acid, you will study it in next year 12th standard. But before that, we have to know that what are the building blocks of the protein, because proteins are the most important molecules that are present inside our body or in any living organism for that matter. So amino acids are building blocks. Why it is called as building blocks? आपरी बात करिए तो if we talk about a building, then the bricks are the building blocks of any building. Okay. Same way, these amino acids are the building blocks of the proteins. The proteins are ultimately they are the chains of amino acids. The amino acid 1, number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they will form a long chain. So protein is nothing but chain of amino acid. We will look the structure of protein in detail in this chapter only, because protein is one of the major biomolecules that is found in our body. So ये આપણે આગળ ભણીશું, પણ અત્યારે તમને એટલે માટે જરૂરી છે why we study amino acids, that is important for you. Now, moving towards other properties of amino acids. This chapter is very important in terms of your NEET preparation and also in terms of future studies in college and master's degree, graduate and postgraduate courses, and almost it is like the basis of molecular biology, which will be there in next year, in that is in 12th standard. So make sure that you read this particular, or you prepare this particular chapter very properly and very thoroughly, because it will help you in future only. So now moving further towards the properties, the structure of amino acid and the group that are present inside this, that is particularly R group, is very important in terms of the chemical and physical properties. Its chemical and physical property of amino acid. It is very important. If this particular R group, or we can say this COOH and NH2 even, these are also important. The amount of COOH and amount of amino group present can also define how the amino acid is. Based on that, the amino acid can be found in 3 different forms: acidic amino acid, then basic amino acid or alkaline amino acid, and neutral amino acid. Okay, these are the 3 different forms of amino acids that can be found. In terms of acidic, it can be like this. In terms of basic, and in terms of neutral, if we talk about, it is so these are the 3 forms of amino acids that is found inside living organisms, and the examples of all the 3 are, if we talk about acidic, glutamic acid is one of the example of acidic amino acid, and the basic one is lysine, which have the alkaline property, and the neutral one, which is also called as the zwitterion, it is valine. It is valine. So this is also called as zwitterion. Now you all can see that in this particular structure, in the structure of amino acids, there are so many ionic forms present, these 2, and these can also be in ionic form. So it depends on the basic pH of the solution in which they are in, or in the place where they are in. They can change their property from acidic to basic to neutral, depending on the place in which they are presently at. This R can also be aromatic compound, and by that there are few examples of that: phenylalanine, tryptophan. These are the amino acids in which the R is aromatic compound. So basically this sums up how the amino acids are, as we have earlier said that it is basically it is in the form of methanic structure, and how the groups are there inside this particular structure, and how these amino acids will be used in the structure or the synthesis of the protein. We will study it further. If you have any doubt, you can call me or WhatsApp me on my number, and you have to send the notes of this particular lecture to me. Thank you.